Welcome to Backstage 421, the musicians only podcast, with your host, author, and music lover, Charles Campbell. Charles will have an awesome array of guests from many genres of music, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. By the way, Ray Mattis is the composer of this awesome intro music.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Backstage 421, the Musicians Only podcast. I am your host, small town author, Charles Campbell, and today is going to be a different kind of episode where I'm just going to talk about one of my favorite artists, my favorite Kiwi, Gin Wigmore, and kind of promote her stuff and put her out there. I do have some stuff in my office related to Gin, so we'll go through a few things. Got a couple pictures over here. Got a signed CD. Got outside of a show in California a couple years back. I'll talk about that a little bit in the podcast. Got a few things on the wall over here. Got a poster that's signed from Pappy and Harriet's. You can see his signature right there. We've got another poster that was signed outside of the Moroccan Lounge in California a couple years ago. Got this awesome painting done by John Stoney Cannon. Shout out to John. He also did the cover for the Piano Witch. Thank you, John. That image of Jen is freaking amazing. Another photo that was from the Troubadour, signed set list, signed ivory cover. Got this cool t-shirt. This was at the New Brooklyn Tavern in Columbia, South Carolina in 2016. Got her to sign it and wore it a few times and then decided to frame it so I wouldn't mess it up. Got another painting, or no, this is a pencil drawing by Francie Klopotic. So thank you, Francie. Got another poster over here. So that's kind of my Gin walls, but now we're going to get into the podcast. All right, I'm back again. You've already had an intro to what this podcast is about today, so we'll get right into it. We're going to talk about my favorite Kiwi, Gin Wigmore. You can see her presence all over my room for sure. I got a couple pictures over here that I didn't show you from a couple of concerts. But Gin Wigmore is an artist that hails from New Zealand. She was born in Auckland in 1986, and which makes me feel old because I graduated high school in 1987. But I digress. But anyway, Jen is an amazing artist, and she's an amazing human being. So I wanted to come on and plug her stuff a little bit for this week's episode of Backstage 421, the Musicians Only podcast. I am trying to see if I can get her on this podcast. Hopefully I can. But we'll see how that works out. Currently, Jen lives in Los Angeles, California, with her husband, Jason Alon Butler. He may be familiar to some of you as the lead man for the Fever 333. So you can go check him out and his group at your convenience. He's got all kinds of stuff out there, so go check him out. But we're going to talk about Jen a little bit today. And in 2012, the way I discovered her, and I did have her on my horror podcast last year and told this story, but the way I discovered her is I was watching a football game, and all of a sudden a commercial for the new James Bond film came on, and it was for Skyfall, and there was this little lady bouncing around singing a song called A Man Like That, and I was like, wow. I was blown away. So you guys can go look on YouTube and check out that commercial. But that was my introduction to Jen. But she had been out, for quite a few years before that. I just didn't know of her yet. But after I watched that commercial, I went and searched, looked her up and found out everything that she had going on and, fell in love with her music at that point. But we'll go through chronicle, what albums she has released, what EP she's released, and then we'll call it a day on the podcast. But I just wanted to get her stuff out there a little bit more. She will be in New Zealand at the end of the year, actually in November, and I'll talk about that before the podcast is over. But I guess she burst onto the scene in 2008, and this is an extended play, and it had a few songs on it, and all of these songs are really good. They you know um, they strike a chord with me for sure. There's a song called "These Roses," and again, you can go look all this up and um, check out. You can go to iTunes and download most of this stuff or stream it on Spotify. There isn't a lot of physical media out there right now. She doesn't have anything on her website at the moment. The only way you can get physical media is through third party vendors, and I won't mention those. You can go find them if you really want to grab some physical media, but you can stream her on Spotify, streaming platforms. You can download her music on iTunes. But this is her EP. And we have the song These Roses, SOS, Hallelujah, which is a great song. It was a song written for her father. And I tell you, if you sit and listen to the lyrics of that song, there are certain lyrics that definitely bring, kind of chokes me up a little bit, because she describes her dad in such a loving way, and how she carries his name on, how you know looking in a mirror keeps him alive, basically, through her features, and she can see him in her. So it's a beautiful song. It's called Hallelujah. There's a song called Under My Skin, and there's a song called Easy Come, Easy Go. So this EP was released in 2008, and this is when she burst onto the scene. So she's got such a unique voice. You really need to check her out. And I was fortunate enough to get one of these EPs. I was in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, and this was outside of the Moroccan Lounge. I almost said Pappy and Harriet's, but it was outside the Moroccan Lounge. And she came out and she signed this EP to me, which I was very grateful for. But yeah, definitely check out the extended play from 2008. Go listen to it on your favorite streaming platform, or download it on iTunes. And if you want the physical media, go out there and find it. Find it. I do know she has a new album coming out, so hopefully when that comes out, she'll have some physical media for that record. I'm not sure if she'll have vinyl or CDs, or maybe it will be streaming only, but whatever it is, I'll make sure that I will pick it up. And from that EP, she released her first album called Holy Smoke, and it came out in 2009. And this has a plethora of Jin's, big hits. We have Oh My, so go check out that's a nice poppy song, and you can really, move your head to it and dance to it. And we have a song called Hey Ho. We have a song called New Revolution. Don't Stop. That's a awesome song. There's quite a few live versions of that out there that you can find on YouTube. Don't stop doing what you do, being who you be. I love the lyrics in that song. We have a song called I Do. That's another great devotion song, I guess you would call it. Too Late for Lovers. There's a cool video out there, and for some reason it was pulled, but I think there's a version out there you can check out. But she plays a waitress in this video, and it's really well set up, and it's a pretty cool video to watch. So it's called Too Late for Lovers. So make sure you go check that out. We have Mr. Freak Show. That's another upbeat song, so check it out. One Last Look is one that she plays live, and as great as it is on the CD, her live version, and I've seen it a couple of times, is outstanding. She has some crowd interaction going on with that. It's very, very, uh, bouncy, and she pulls you in, and she changes up the arrangement from the CD. It's a fun live song. So One Last Look is one of my favorite live songs, and I'm sure you can find a performance out there on YouTube if you scour the YouTube universe. When I had her on the podcast last year, she had no idea how much stuff she had out there. So hopefully she went and searched, looked up herself and found all those cool videos. And I did ask her, please don't pull them. Her fans like to watch them, and I certainly like to watch them. So there's some really cool videos out there. We have another song called Golden Ship, and the track listing ends with a song called Dying Day. They're all great songs. They it's a well put together album, and it showcases Jin's, you know, variances in between songs, because they are pretty diverse, even for what you would call a debut album. But this wasn't the only version of this CD she released that year, or maybe it came out a little later. But there was a Gin Deluxe Edition, and it took me forever to find this. And I had to go to a aftermarket site to pick up a copy, but it is well worth it. It has all of Holy Smoke, so it has that entire album. Oh, it's still got the packing in it. So it has that entire album, Holy Smoke, and it has a ton of bonus tracks. It includes the extended play that I showed you. It includes bonus tracks, and one of the bonus tracks is my favorite. It's a song called "Cocaine," so it was pretty cool. There's another really cool bonus track called "Don't." I heard that in a grocery store one day, and I was like, I know I've heard every Gin song out there, and I'd never heard of that, so I had to go find that song "Don't." Amazing music, amazing. And what is so cool about this is there is a live DVD that she put out, and it plays on my DVD player, even though it says PAL on here. But it's got Region Zero, so I'm sure it'll play on any DVD player. But this was live at the Power Station, and man, it was a great live performance. It was really before she blew up super big, and she was, going back and forth with the audience, and it was a very fun show. So if you can get your hands on this Gin Deluxe edition, it is so worth it. And it comes with these, cool cards. So it's got her, signing some stuff, uh, rehearsing, working in the studio, more rehearsal, working in the studio. Uh, I guess a moment of solace here. Maybe she's writing, and it comes with a cool pamphlet, so you get some more photos and behind the scenes of Gin. So if you can get your hands on the Gin Deluxe Edition somewhere, it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Love this record. Love all the bonus stuff it came with. So if she would re-release this, I'm sure she would sell even more of them. But it's pretty awesome stuff. So make sure you check out the Gin Deluxe Edition if you can. Amazing stuff. And you're going to hear me say that quite a bit during this episode, because I am a Gin super fan. I don't know every little thing she's done or released, but I've got a good handle on a lot of things that she's put out there. And I was blown away that she was on my horror podcast last year. That's why I want to get her on the actual music podcast and talk about what she's got going on now. Now, the next record that came out may be considered her, her biggest album to date. I don't know if she considers it that way or not, but it was called Gravel and Wine, and it had a lot of hits on this record, and it actually has the song that drew me to her on here, and every song is 10 out of 10. It really is. If you haven't heard Black Sheep, and this isn't Metric's Black Sheep, this is Gin Wigmore's Black Sheep, go check that out. That is a upbeat track. The lyrics are awesome, so check it out. You'll have your head moving, and you can dance to Black Sheep. Man Like That, that's the song I was telling you about that I first discovered her on the Skyfall commercial. So Man Like That is basically about this trifling dude that goes from woman to woman, and she catches him, basically after the act, and there's a young lady laying in the bed with her wedding ring on. So yeah, it's a fun track, but it could be ominous for sure. We have another song called Poison. Excellent. There's another song you may have heard of. It's been in a few TV shows and commercials. It's called Kill of the Night. She does have a music video out there for it. It does have a lot of horror elements in it. You get to see her rip a man's heart out in the video. So Kill of the Night is an awesome song, so check it out. Another great live song that she performs, and she performs all of these live, but another really good one that she performs live is called Devil in Me. She gives a little story about that at her live shows, how that song came to be. So if you ever get a chance to see her live, I'm not going to spoil that here. So if you ever get a chance to see Gin Wigmore live, go buy a ticket. They generally don't cost a lot, and most of the time she's very receptive to meeting people after the show. So you may even get to chat with her if you can catch her at a show. Another song on this record is called "If Only," and to me, it had like kind of a '50s throwback. You know, it had that feel of an older song, something that may have came out, in the '50s, early '60s. So you can check that out. There's a song called "Dirty Love." Love that song. It's really, you know, uh, it's really. I'm trying to figure out how to describe "Dirty Love." It's like in your face, and it's just it's lyrically driven. So definitely check it out. Happy Ever After, there is a great live version of that online if you can find it, where she's playing acoustic with just her and a guitar, and it is so freaking awesome. It is a great version, a great live version. I would recommend you go check it out. um, Another really good song, great lyrics. All of these have outstanding lyrics. So whether she's written all of these or she's had contributors, they've all been top notch. We have another song called Saturday Smile. Beautiful song. Another great live song that she performs a lot is Sweet Hell. So it's fun to watch her and Dave Goodison go back and forth on that one. Um, and he's her musical director, by the way. There's another beautiful song called Singing My Soul. There's also a great live version of that out there. And we have Don't Stop Doing What You Do, Being What You Be. So check that out. Um, Great record, Gravel and Wine. Highly recommend it. Go stream it, go download it. However you can get your hands on it, go check her out. Gravel and Wine, awesome. It's a great, great record. And I believe this one came out in 2012, if I remember right. Somewhere around that time frame. I can't really see the date on the CD, but that's around the time I started listening to her. And man, this thing blew me away when I first downloaded this on iTunes. So go check it out. After Gravel and Wine came and here's an extended play of some stuff that's on Gravel and Wine with a little uh, bonus track called "Kick This Love." So we have this little extended play that has Black Sheep, Kill of the Night, and Kick This Love. Then my favorite Gin record to date was released, and this came out in 2015. Love this album. It has one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life. It's actually probably my favorite song by any artist, and the song is called "Nothing to No One." And there is a version that she sang in Germany. It's a live version, so you should go check that out. I mean, it pulls at my heartstrings every time I hear it. The album it came off of is called Blood to Bone. Uh, Excellent album cover. Every song on here uh, is amazing, and this is probably my favorite Gin album to date. But New Rush, there's a great video for that out there. You need to check that out. It's awesome, and the song is kind of fast moving, but the lyrics in it are again top notch. I can't say enough positive things about this record. Nothing to No One. Man, I bleed just like everyone, but I feed off a different drum. I'm built all of broken bone. I'm nothing to no one but you. Those are some of the lyrics in that song. And man, I can't give that song enough kudos. I listen to that song at least a few times a week. It is in constant rotation. and it is probably my favorite song out of any song by any artist ever. I know I'm hyping that up quite a bit. And on the podcast last year, I asked her, I told her that I've never seen that live, and she said, well, she used to perform it heaps, I think it was the term she used. And I said, well, you stopped playing that when I started going to the shows. She's like, yep, I sure did. So, Jen, I'm going to need you to put that back in the rotation, please, because the next live show I go to, I definitely want to hear that in the set. There's a song called This Old Heart. It's another one that tugs at this old heart. There's another beautiful song. She did play this live at the Troubadour in 2018 when I was there. You can find that version, but it's called Black Parade. Oh my God. Um, I just, I'm fanboying all over this video, but the lyrics in that song are, they're unheralded. I mean, the stuff you hear on the radio today, and I'm not trying to bash anyone else, but it can't hold a candle to this stuff. I mean, this is real lyrically driven music, and by a real musician. There's no auto tune here. There's no uh, extra fluff. It's Jen's voice, and she has one of the most amazingly unique voices on the planet. And I'm 1,000% biased when I say that, but it's true. There's no one out there you can compare her to. The closest comparison I can give you, just a little bit, because their voices are similar in timbre, is El King. But Jen came out before El King, and you know, so when people say, "Oh, she sounds like El King," I'm like, no, not really. It's the other way around. El King sounds kind of similar to Jen, and I love El King's music too. So don't get me wrong; she's an amazing artist as well. They're just two different artists, and Jen is really, really good. There's a song called "Written in the Water." It's awesome live as well because she gets the crowd moving back and forth. When you get to the hook, or it's not really the hook, but there's a little group dance part in there where you can move back and forth during the song. You can find live versions of that out there as well. In My Way is another great lyrically driven song. Holding On to Hell. I mean, just these titles, man. Willing to Die. And uh, this song, she actually had a video that was directed by her sister, Lucy Wigmore. So you can go find the video for Willing to Die out there on YouTube land, and check it out. It was a really well done video. There's an explosion at the end, and the song is awesome. And she had a couple of guest artists that were featured on that song, Suffa and Logic. So check it out for sure. There's another song that kind of gets in your head when you listen to it. It's called DFU. It's Dancing for You. Um, I can hear it in my head right now. It's hard to describe. You definitely need to go listen to it. There's another song called 24, and it's basically she's pining for someone she's waited, for 24 hours. I've been waiting 24 hours for you. And there's a lot of heavy meaning in that song. And there's a very good tearjerker of a love song that finishes out this record, and it's simply called "I Will Love You." And she's performed this live a few times, well, more than a few times. It's part of her rotation for sure. But there are a few versions out there on YouTube where you can really feel the emotion from her when she sings this song. There's a couple of versions where she's almost in tears and she has to pause for a couple of minutes and take in, the audience at those shows, take in the crowd. She shows 1,000,000,000% appreciation for the people who have supported her and bought her music and bought into Jen. I'm one of those. I share her music as much as I possibly can. I've been fortunate enough to meet her a couple of times and have her on the podcast last year. And a lot of times people say don't meet your idols or your heroes, or people that you look up to from afar. And I was really wary of that when I had her on the podcast because, outside of a couple of times that I talked to her outside of shows, which is very brief, you don't really get an idea of what kind of person they are. But when she was on the podcast, she's legit. she's a great human being, and you know, I will definitely keep promoting her. She's been really good to me. Um, and we do have a fan page for her on Facebook. It's called Gin Wigmore Bang Bang Baby. At the She did a show in Detroit last year at Motor City Casino, and I was fortunate enough to talk to her after that show, and we got her permission to call it the official fan page. So it's called Gin Wigmore Bang Bang Baby. If you go listen to some of her music and really dig it, um, I encourage you to join the group. We share information on really anything gin related, and a lot of times music related. It's not always 100% gin. Like just recently, I went to see ZZ Ward in Atlanta, so I posted some stuff about that on the page. So you can share, music related stuff, and it's always respectful. And we're not there to bash anybody. We're not there to troll anybody. We're there to talk about gin and any other, relevant music related stuff. And she's really the reason I kind of started this Backstage 421, the Musicians Only podcast, because I've had quite a few musicians on the Horror 421 podcast last year and at the beginning of this year. And I'm thinking, I love talking to musicians. I love getting, picking their brain and kind of going through their process. And, I've talked to a lot of different musicians from many different genres and many levels of, I want to word this carefully, commercial success. But they're all, in my eyes, they're all, kind of on the same plane. I had one young lady on earlier this year. She's a DJ and she played Coachella this year, and her name is LPG Obi. She's amazing. She is simply amazing. And I learned of her and saw her through another dance group that I love called Sophie Tucker. And they're amazing, but I haven't had a chance to get them on the show as of yet. I'm saying all that to say this. Uh, Jen is the one that kind of put the idea in my head, not directly, but indirectly, to talk to musicians, because it was such a joy talking to her and kind of hearing her story. And you can check out that episode, by the way, from last year. It was on Horror 421, the podcast, and it's a Jen Wigmore special episode. So hopefully we can get her back on Backstage 421, the Musicians Only podcast, and talk to her on a musicians podcast in the not so distant future is what I'm hoping. So Blood to Bone, that was so far my favorite Jen record. And then in 2018, I believe this came out, we had a record called Ivory. And this is it. And it has quite a number of great songs on it as well. I picked up the CD and the vinyl, of which Jen only has a few different releases on vinyl. But the kickoff song to this is called Hallow Fate. And my God, man, it's different. It is definitely different, and it has a sound that's very unique unto itself, and the lyrics are really really good. So this is probably my second favorite Jen album outside of Blood to Bone, but it gives Blood to Bone a run for its money. There's another song on here called Odium, and I would love to see that live one day. It's another great lyrically driven song. Um, you know, I wish I could remember all the lyrics off the top of my head, but it's there's a song about there's a lyric in there about how a kingdom fell apart. Anyway, you have to listen to the lyrics. It's it really gets to you. There's an upbeat song called Beatnik Trip, which to me it had kind of like almost like an '80s bouncy vibe to it. I liked it for sure. And the thing about this record is it's so diverse, so you get a little piece of everything. Then you have the hard hitting Dirty Mercy. There's a video out there for that as well. Another guy I had on the podcast, another friend of mine, his name's Mark Arell. He co-wrote this song with Jen. But Dirty Mercy is a straight up rock song. It's heavy, high, heavy, hard vocals with Dirty Mercy. There's a cool video out there. It's an official video, so go check it out. And it has a young lady that Jen's character is supposedly babysitting, and she kind of goes through the song, and all kinds of crazy stuff happen before the parents come home. So check that out. There's another song called Cabrona, and I I really like it. It gives you kind of the feel though, or it gave me kind of the feel when I first listened to it, like an old '80s sitcom opening, a little bit. So it took me a little bit to warm up to that song in particular, but once it got in my head and I listened to it a few times, I do enjoy Cabrona. So check that out. There's a the next song on this record is called Cold Cave, and I love it too. Um, I think there's a lyric in that one somewhere. It says something about swimming in the rain with our last book of matches, something like that. But it's lyrically driven as well. Bad Got Me Good. That's one she performs live quite a bit. And it has kind of a throwback feel to it as well, with the rhythm and the way the arrangements put together. There's another song called Hard Luck. Again, great lyrically driven song. Fall Out of Love. This is a song about wanting to fall out of love with someone. You hate that you're in love with them, but you want to fall out of love, but you can't. There's a song called Head to Head. It's another great song. There's a song that kind of sticks out to me a little bit on the record. It's called Young Ones, and it's just because of the arrangement and the way it comes across. It's got heavy elements in it, and it kind of pounds you in the head a little bit. But Young Ones is a great song, and a song that she's very proud of. And I'm sure that she would say this, but there's a song called Girl Gang. It is a hard hitting anthem for women. She talks about, uh, the power that women have. And she kind of, when this came out, she kind of formed her own girl gang on her, her website, where she featured other artists and women in the music and art, and all different walks of life. So, "Girl Gang" is a great anthem song. You know, she says in the song, "Those boys, they wish they could join, but we can't. We're not in the girl gang, but we can enjoy the music." So, "Girl Gang" is awesome. Give it a listen. And this album was called Ivory. Again, if you want to listen to it, you can get it on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you download or stream your music. A lot of this isn't available now on physical media outside of the third party stuff, which I'm not going to promote that. But if you want to go out and actively look for her stuff, it's not that hard to find. In cases where I can, I try to support the artist directly. So a lot of this stuff, when it came out, I purchased from Jen's website at the time. Now, some things had already passed, and I couldn't do that, so I had to go the other direction to get the physical media. Now, I'm coming up on another song, and it was part of the Ivory record. She released "Hall of Fate" on a 45. I don't know if it actually plays in 45. Maybe it plays at 33 RPMs, but it's the size of a 45. And interestingly enough, and I told her this on the podcast last year, interestingly enough, on the B side of this is a song called State of Silence. And there's a lyric in there: "I know I will die in the silence with nobody calling my name." And that lyric stuck in my head. I know I will die in the silence. I know I will die in the silence. And I don't have the book in front of me, but I completely took that lyric and used it as a book title. So a couple of years ago, I released a book called "I Know I Will Die in the Silence: The Buryman." And it centers around a young lady where some things happen in the United States, in Augusta, in Atlanta, Georgia. But it kind of follows her onto a planned trip that she had to Edinburgh, Scotland, and she falls into this march with the Buryman. So the Buryman is actually a real person. He he marches through the town of South Queens Ferry every August, the second Friday of every August. Shout out to Claire, the wife of the Berryman, because she gave me the information that I needed to create the book. But he marches through the town, and the kids place and adults place burrs upon him and offer him whiskey to drink. And so by the end of the day, he's pretty well, sloshed if he's not careful. But there are two. Whenever you do that and you participate in the Berryman March that way, you're supposed to prosper for the year and good things are going to happen and all this other stuff. But my book took a different turn. There are alternate legends of the Berryman, and the Berryman March has been around for centuries. It really has. So you can go read up on the actual history. And if you purchase the book, I Know I Will Die in the Silence, the Berryman, I give you some of that history with the fiction story around it. But there's an alternate version of the Berryman's mystique, if you will, where you can kind of place your burdens upon the Berryman, and then you have to pay some kind of price. So that's the angle I went with this, with the young lady, the protagonist, and she's kind of an antagonist too. She's a very complicated character um, of this book, and so all kinds of crazy stuff happens. But the point of all of that rambling I just did is it all came from a Gin Wigmore song, B-side, State of Silence, which I told her it should have been on an album. It still should be on an album. The song is excellent. The lyrics are top notch. The delivery is amazing. And I'd love to hear this live, Jen, just telling you. And there's one other vinyl that I didn't show, but I am now. It included some of the songs that are on the, I believe they're on this special edition. Let me make sure, or deluxe edition, that I'm telling the truth here. Yes, I am. Minus one song. But this is another Jen extended play. And when I had her on the podcast, we talked about this, but it was across the room, and I didn't want to get up and walk across the room and people just see my empty chair. But we did bring this up, and this is an EP called Oh My, and you can see, Jen holding her glass of wine or whatever, and it includes the songs Oh My, Golden Ship, and another track I haven't mentioned, Good News. So again, this is really not available for purchase anywhere outside of third-party vendors. So if you wanted to get one of these, that's the way you would get it. But this was a great record as well. And I've kind of gone through the Jen collection and touch briefly on all of the songs, but a couple other things I do want to bring up. She is coming to New Zealand in November, and they are hailing the pioneering women of rock, and the event is called Atomic, and they're hailing these women: Blondie, the Eurythmics, the Pretenders, Patti Smith, Joan Jett, and a ton more. And Jen is going to be there performing, along with some other amazing women. So you're going to have Gin Wigmore there, Jasmine Mary, Julia Deans, Diane Swan, and Gussie Larkin. Or Cussie Larkin. I'm not sure if that's a C or a G, but they're going to be at November 10th at the Isaac Theatre Royal at Christchurch. All of these dates are in New Zealand, of course. November 11th, they're going to be at the Civic in Auckland, New Zealand. And November 18th, they're going to be at St. James Theatre in Wellington. So if any of you guys listening to the podcast, which a lot of you are, since I had Jen on, I do have a pretty big New Zealand audience. Make sure you go to Ticket Tech. It's Ticket Tech, Ticketek, and or Ticketmaster, and get your tickets for Atomic. And I think she's playing some dates in December as well. I don't have those in front of me, but Jen's got a lot going on. She did release a song earlier this year called "Someone's Gonna Die Tonight." Go give that a listen. The video or the audio is out there for you to listen to. You can you can get it on Spotify, iTunes, or whatever, for sure. Okay, I pulled up the other date. She's going to be at Rhythm and Vines on the 29th through the 31st of December. So you can check her out there as well. This is also in New Zealand. Um, but yeah, Jen's got a lot going on. If you get a chance to see her, be sure to go see her. Um, can't wait. Oh, at Rhythm and Vines, do have some more information here. Rhythm and Vines first release. So you can go get tickets for that event. It's the 29th through the 31st. Um, and there's a lot of a lot of artists performing there outside of Gin. You have Central C, Dom Dalla, Wilkinson, Headaches, Peking Duck, Gin Wigmore, BBY Face Killer, Delta Heavy, Disrupta, Emily Makis, and Deadline, Foley, Georgia Lines, Goddard, Park Road, Becky B, Coast Arcade, Emily, Jess Rhodes, Juju Lips, and Nice Girl. Those are the people that are lined up on the poster. So if you don't have tickets for that event and you're in New Zealand, go to Live Nation and check it out. Anyway, it's called Rhythm and Vines or Rhythm Vines. So go purchase your tickets if you can. Any chance I get to see Jen live, I always take advantage of it. And that's really all I have today on the subject of Gin Wigmore. Kind of got that out of my system. I wanted to at least put a podcast out there for her, since she kind of gave me the idea to do a musicians only podcast. And hopefully, hopefully in the not so distant future, I'll actually have her on the show to talk about some of these cool things she has coming up. She does have a new album coming out. Not sure when that's going to happen. Um, you know, uh, there's been one song released so far, and that was "Someone's Gonna Die Tonight," and it's a really fun song, especially around Halloween time. Go check that out. "Someone's Gonna Die Tonight." It's got a catchy hook, and Mark Orell, I believe, helped write that song as well. But anyway, this concludes this week's episode of Backstage 421, the Musicians Only podcast. I am your host, small town horror author Charles Campbell. You can find all my work at valleyboypublications.com. I do have a brand new book out called The Piano Witch. Shout out to Brooke Singer from the New Zealand group French for Rabbits for giving me that idea. If she was on episode 1 of this Backstage 421, the podcast this year. So if you want to hear the story of how the Piano Witch was created in my brain, go listen to that episode of the podcast, and you'll see how that all went down. And it went from there to an actual book that was just released. So thank you again, Brooke. You can find us on Facebook at Backstage 421. We have a Facebook page. I do also host a horror podcast, Horror 421, the podcast. You can see the image behind me. We have a Facebook page for that as well. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And that's it, man. I appreciate you guys listening to me rant on about Jen for about 40 minutes, but she's worth it. And all I want's the best for her. And you guys go check her out, check out her music, and we'll see you next time.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Backstage 421, the Musicians Only podcast. Be sure to tune in for the next episode. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Listener support links can be found below. Thank you for your support.